function, then we will come to you. But without further ado, Don, can I?
Well, thank you very much, Rob, and good afternoon to all of you, the Minister here present, the members of the delegation from Commonwealth Sport India and the government of Gujarat, my colleagues, Katie, and of course our celebrated athlete. Good afternoon. As you all know, we stand here this afternoon with the very good news that following a very robust evaluation process and receiving, we had about a number, let's say 5 expressions of interest, but which narrowed down to 2, which was Nigeria and India. We went through a very robust evaluation process led by a committee by one of our vice presidents. And at the end of that culminated in the proposal from India and Ahmedabad going to our board, which unanimously endorsed it. And we're happy that today, this morning in the General Assembly here in the beautiful city of Glasgow, the membership has overwhelmingly voted in favor of us taking the 2030 centenary games to India. So we'd like to congratulate our colleagues, and we look forward to working with them going forward to preparing for what we believe will be a very, very good centenary games in 2030. So I think I'll just stop there because we've already said a lot, and I don't know whether
Thank you.
from that point.
Thank you. I'll now just invite colleagues from India, Srihash Sanghavi, and then Dr. P.T. Usha, just to share some initial reflections before we move to questions.
Thank you to the Commonwealth Sports family for declaring Bharat's Ahmedabad as the host city of the Commonwealth Games 2030. 2030 marks the centenary of the Commonwealth sport movement. Hosting this edition is not just an honor, it is a responsibility to celebrate 100 years and to shape the next 100 years. Ahmedabad stand ready for the responsibility. Ahmedabad is preparing with clarity, with confidence, and with commitment. It is the world's first UNESCO World Heritage City of the 21st century. We are building world-class sports infrastructure, including Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Sports Enclave, Gujarat Police Academy at Karai, a city where heritage meets ambition, faith meets modernity, history meets hope. Ahmedabad is compact, well-connected city with modern transport, accommodation, and strong support systems. The game's footprint is designed to minimize travel time, maximize efficiency, and deliver the best possible experience for athletes, officials, and fans. Ahmedabad is not just hosting you, Ahmedabad is welcoming you. Our values, Vasudev Kutumbakam, the world is one family. Atithi Devo Bhava, the guest is divine. These are not slogans. They are how we welcome. They are how we serve. They are how we build trust. On behalf of India, on behalf of Gujarat, and on behalf of the people of Ahmedabad, I invite you not to a host city, but to a home. A home where athletes are celebrated, tradition honored, and memories cherished. With 65% of India's population below the age of 35, our youth will power the historic edition. Ahmedabad is ready, Gujarat is ready, India is ready. Together, we are ready to create an history. We will be waiting to welcome you all. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Dr. P.T. Usha, would you like to share a few words?
Distinguished members of the media, esteemed leaders of Commonwealth Sport, and honored guests. Let me begin by recalling the clear guidance and inspiring commitment of our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, who encouraged us to bring the 2030 Commonwealth Games to India. His vision was not only to host a global sport event, but to create an opportunity for our youth and athletes to shine on the world stage. Today, it fills me with great pride that the vision has been welcomed by the entire Commonwealth family. India is deeply honored to be elected as the host of the 2030 Commonwealth Games with Ahmedabad as the host city. I extend my heartfelt thanks to the President and CEO of Commonwealth Sport and to all member nations for the faith they have placed in us. I also express our sincere gratitude to the Government of India for its strong and unwavering support at every step. I am especially moved knowing that the Honorable Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports is watching this press conference live from Delhi, along with the thousands of athletes, administrators and sport lovers across the country. Their hopes and excitement give us even greater purpose. As someone whose life has been shaped by sport, this moment holds deep emotional meaning for me. I have witnessed how sport transforms individuals and unites communities. The 2030 Games we host will reflect these values. India is committed to delivering games that are athlete-centric, sustainable, and truly representative of the unity that defines the Commonwealth. Ahmedabad, supported with the exceptional commitment by the government of Gujarat and represented here today by the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, stands fully prepared. With its world-class infrastructure and the warmth of its people, the city will offer an unforgettable games experience. As President of CGA, I assure all of you that India will approach this responsibility with dedication, sincerity, and the highest standards of excellence. Together with Commonwealth Sport, we will create a games that will inspire not just our generation, but many more to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And before I do open up the floor to questions, I've got one question that I'd like to ask this man on my left. Duncan, you've had an incredible career, especially from a Commonwealth Games perspective. I know you'll be looking forward to next summer in particular.
Absolutely, yeah.
But looking further ahead, what does a 2030 Games in India mean to you and your athlete colleagues?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, thanks for the kind words. Very nice. But I think a gentleman that said it, which was Ahmedabad won't just host you, it'll welcome you. And I think that rings so true about every Commonwealth host city that I've been to. I've been fortunate enough to be at my hometown of Glasgow, and I will be there again next year. But to Birmingham and also the Gold Coast as well in Australia, I think that rings true across every Commonwealth Games host city, and I think that's going to be very special in 2030 in India. And yeah, I think it marks a really special occasion for the Commonwealth Games. It's now going to be centering athletes at the real focus and pivotal point of the Commonwealth Games and moving forward. So yeah, I think it's a really exciting future that the Commonwealth Games holds.
Thank you. Now invite questions from the floor. If you could just let us know your name and your publication, that'd be much appreciated. Duncan.
Duncan Carr-Zeus, this is a question for Don. Just over a year ago, you had a host of 2026, and there's doubt about the whole future of Commonwealth Games. Now you've not only got a host of 2026, you've got a massive country hosting 2030. How close did it come to collapsing the whole Commonwealth Games, and how much of a turnaround is this for you?
Well, thank you very much, Duncan, for that very insightful question. That's very true. When we were in Singapore in 23, you all know there was a bit of a dark cloud with the situation at that point. We were very close to saying that what's the future of the Commonwealth movement, Commonwealth sport, but we're very happy that with the stepping up of Glasgow and Scotland, in many ways that was a game changer, and we're internally, as we've been saying, we're internally grateful to the city of Glasgow, to the people of Scotland, CGS Scotland, being able to step up at a very important and critical time of our movement when there was a lot of uncertainty. Was the glass half full or half empty? It really depends on which side of the pendulum you are standing. But we remained internally optimistic, and our team was working at pace and at steam. And we believe that Glasgow standing in to be able to come to the Games with a slightly different program, I'm sure that will also be another part of your question. We believe that in many ways was able to put the games back. And this was part of also our overall and overarching games reset and refresh strategy, which we had put in place as a board, where we're looking at the games in a slightly different way. We have a collaborative approach with our members. And in that vein, we're very happy too that we have definitely turned a positive corner, because following the announcement of Glasgow 26, we then saw an unprecedented level of interest from close to 5 people, Duncan, 5 countries, which invariably culminated into the 2 biggest populous nations of our 74 territories, being India and Nigeria. And we are where we are now with 2030, but also we have 2027. The Youth Games is also locked in. And also we look at what we are calling the Games pipeline. So we really stand here in November, despite the weather, looking very, very optimistic that the future of the Games and the movement is very solid and good. So we really believe that the silver lining in the cloud, or the lining in the cloud is quite silver, and we believe that it can only get better.
Thank you, Don. Any other? Yeah.
Martin Ross. Martin Ross from Sport Business. It's a question for the India and Ahmedabad delegation, and also for Commonwealth Sport. I mean, in 2030, 20 years will have passed since Delhi, which is fair to say had its challenges, to say the least, in terms of the budget and venues that were not ready, or outstanding payments, etc. What lessons have been learned in that time? Why will this be different at a sort of local and national government level and an organising committee level? And maybe for Commonwealth Sport, how do you avoid a repeat in the lead up in terms of COCOM visits and assurances that you have that that won't happen again?
I would like to attempt to answer this question. A good question. In fact, we are proud that we are going to host Commonwealth Games in 2030. This is the second time we are going to do it. 2010 Games were one of the best games that were hosted, but there were some challenges, as you rightly pointed out. This time, we are well prepared. The organizing committee is going to be established within a month or so. Our fundamentals are very strong. One of the major highlight of 2030 Ahmedabad is that most of the venues are already ready. We have existing venues which are capable of hosting Commonwealth Games event today with some modifications here and there. But being growing city is surrounded by a lot of industries, be it semicon industries, manufacturing process industries. The city of Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar, they are 2 twin cities. The population is about 10 million. So we have an aspiration to reach, to be the sports capital of the country at least. So Ahmedabad is poised to be the sports capital of India. And in that regard, we are going to come up with 2 major sports infrastructure projects also. One is SVP Sports Enclave, which will have arena, aquatic facility, and tennis court. And at the same time, we are also going to come up with Police Academy Sports Hub, which will have athletics stadium, which will have shooting center, and arena and high performance center. Both the projects, the funding has been kind of secured by the government. They are being done by 2 different arms of the government. The construction is likely to begin by April 2026, and we will be completing it by end of 2028 or early 2029. Here I would also like to mention that we are also going to host World Police and Fire Games in October 2029, which sees a participation of more than 9,500 fire and police personnel. They come from all across the globe. So these facilities will be prepared well in time for 2030 Games, and we are very confident. And we have done a good homework as a team. This team is led by the Deputy Chief Minister, who you can see is a young and a dynamic person at such a young age. He is number 2 in the state, and he is driving the entire initiative from the front. We have support of our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, our Union Sports Minister, Union Home Minister, and our Chief Minister. So this time there is a solid team behind the project. The funding has been secured. The budget have been very, very meticulously worked out. And we are very confident that we will deliver a game which you would remember in years to come. And we understand the responsibility of also delivering a game which is sustainable which can be taken forward for next 100 years. We are going to complete 100 years in 2030. So it should be taken for next 100 years. So in consultation with Commonwealth Sport, we are trying to make it a sustainable game financially and otherwise also. So, and I also would like to thank Commonwealth Sport for assisting and guiding us throughout co-creating the entire project. And I would again like to assure you that these games are going to be one of the best games, Commonwealth games that you have seen in the past. Thank you.
Well, I think I'll just also take a quick answer to that, and then maybe I'll ask Katie to come in. As you rightly say, 2030 will be 20 years. The world has significantly evolved since then. There's been a lot of learning from the experience in 2010, and we believe as Commonwealth Sport that we are co-creating this partnership. The refresh strategy we have is changing the model for a prescriptive kind of arrangement to a co-creation where we're working in partnership with our brothers and sisters in India. And we are firmly convinced that with a reimagined games, with a reimagined model that we have, the future is bright, and together we should be able to have the important guardrails to ensure that we shall have an incredible games. And I think from the presentation, it's very clear the commitment that we have from the highest levels of government, both at the level of the state and the federal level, the minister being here. And we believe we should be able to ensure that the centenary games, because these are not just any games, these are celebrating the centenary of our movement, and we believe it will be a true celebration of where we are and how far we have come. So we're firmly focused on the future and how we can reimagine these games, and we believe 2030 will provide that platform. But I'll ask Katie maybe to...
I guess what I would say is that I've had the privilege of visiting India 3 times within the last 12 months. And what I have seen is a massive ambition and transformation that's going on in India in terms of where they want to position themselves on a world stage as a major sporting power. And with that, there has been a clear direction at all levels of government to transform and put in best practice in terms of legislation and governance reviews. And so it is really transformational what they're doing and what their ambition is. We have led this process of expression of interest from Darren Hall, who's at the back of the room. He's our director of games and assurance, and he is responsible for 2 things. This collaboration process. So it hasn't been a normal put in a bid. You know, we understand that we're doing some things that are quite different. It has been let's work with people who put their hand up to actually go hand in hand about where they're currently at, where their ambitions are at, how do we link in great practice so that when they get to the stage where our evaluation committee is looking at these bids, there's no sort of secrets there. We're kind of doing that in partnership. But now that we are in a sort of situation that, you know, it's great to hear that the organising committee is going to be up and running in a month. You know, we're going to do everything we can to sort of work with the team in India to make sure that all those processes are robust. But we will have a COCOM. You know, that is part of the things that gets built into the contract. We're right now, you know, been quite focused on working with our COCOM and our evaluations of 2026. But we will develop a program of that activity that will take place over the next 5 years, and we will make sure that process is robust and helpful in terms of actually making sure that all those checks and balances are in place.
Okay, great.
Sorry. Just a couple of questions, if that's all right. Side of the room. First of all, Scotland stepped in to save the game with this kind of smaller format of the games. Would you say that it wouldn't have been possible for India to host these games without Scotland and what it has done? And maybe for Katie as well, with Nigeria possibly in the future as well, do you feel that Scotland has essentially saved the games with what it has done? And a follow-up question on a bit of a different note. Obviously, the Commonwealth Games does come with a bit of a difficult history with its roots in the British Empire. Lots of people want to see this acknowledged more. So is there any plans to kind of educate people about that and address that a bit more? That's kind of open to whoever's best to answer that one.
Yeah, in fact, we... with gratitude, recognize the role that has been played by Scotland in keeping the moment alive. And we are mindful that we have to take the journey forward because we are going to celebrate the centenary games in 2030. We are also going to deploy our teams in Scotland, working very closely with Glasgow 2026, so that there is a learning on both the sides. And the spirit that Commonwealth Sport is having as of now is of co-creation, collaboration, coming together, joining hands, and creating something which is really beautiful and meaningful for all of us. So we really appreciate the leadership that has been taken by Scotland, Glasgow 2026, to keep the moment alive. And India is successfully going to host 2030 because there has been a unique role that has been played by the Scottish people and the city of Glasgow. Thank you.
I'll start that, Don, and you can pick it up. But yes, I mean, Glasgow has been vital, absolutely vital in terms of keeping that momentum going. But not just keeping the momentum going, allowing us and them being so willing to be innovative and different in their approach to hosting games. So for those who, I gather you weren't in the room when you heard both George and Phil sort of say that, we needed to move to a games reset that actually established a games that our members could host. We had sort of, we're not an Olympics. We talked about games reset, and one of those principles was taking 60% out of the costs of the games and sort of looking at the last 3 games. They were growing and growing and growing, and it was out of reach in terms of how did we marry wanting to take the games around the Commonwealth to actually having a games that was fit for purpose to enable that to happen. So Glasgow has shown us the way to do that. So absolutely vital. Vital in terms of, making that real excitement in the expression of interest process. The fact that we had 7 countries put forward their hand saying, we're really interested. All of those countries connected with Glasgow along the way to talk about what their model was, to learn where they took some of where the innovation was coming in. So whether or not that be India, whether that be some of the countries for 2034, or whether that be Nigeria, just actually understanding what is the model, what are the things that can be done differently. So what does that mean for Nigeria? It was fantastic hearing Nigeria stand up at the General Assembly, congratulating the team from India, sort of saying, that they're really looking forward, but they definitely have not given up, and we haven't given up. We had a board meeting just while we were here, and there is a real passion to do what we can to get a games to Africa. We're quite clear about the fact that there's been a gap in the 100 years in terms of where the games, youth games and main games have gone, and the board is absolutely passionate at addressing that. And so we've made a call that we would work strategically with Nigeria over the next period of time to help them look at their proposal that came in to see how we can help them realize their ambitions to host a games. So that's that question. Do you want to talk about?
Well, I think on the piece of the historical injustices, that's an important issue in terms of acknowledging the legacy of where we come from, taking into account our 74 territories. And actually, the most appropriate person to ask that question is hiding in the back. That is Martin, because that is he leads on that. But we have a working group on historical injustices, which is being led by our colleagues from the Caribbean. And we are planning in short order, maybe sometime in, next year, to have a conference on this. But we're very careful to ensure that we are discussing this question within the purview of sports and not get into the political, landmines of what that might bring along. But we are definitely very alive to this. And our colleagues, as I said, from the Caribbean are leading on this. We're planning a very big set of activities, including a conference where we can come together and acknowledge and see how we can use sport, especially with the younger athletes, the youth who constitute the vast majority of our membership, can address these things and be alive. So yes, this is something which is high on our agenda. And I think in very short order in 2026, we are going to be able to see that. And also we'd like to see how we can use the games, because within the games, I know within 2026, and most certainly within 2030, there's going to be a heavy component on culture. And how can we bring the youth of the Commonwealth together to begin, acknowledging some of these things, having a discussion. What does it mean? How do we articulate this, but from the lens of how sport can be a unifying factor than a disunifying factor. So yes, that's something which is top of our agenda, and in 2026 you will be hearing more from us on that.
I'm going to jump to, we've got a few questions online, so I'm just going to jump to the first of those from Mihir Vasavda. I hope I pronounced that right. You'll be brought off mute in just a moment to ask your question.
Hi, I hope you guys can hear me.
We can, yes. Hello.
Thanks. I have a couple of questions. First, what time of the year would the games be hosted? Would it be the traditional July-August window, or would it be like 2010 later in the year? And secondly, the Indian delegation mentioned about keeping the venues and the infrastructure for the games. Now, Glasgow